We have Christiane with us today and Professor Kaya. They have been working on the science of symbols and dream interpretations for a long period of time. They have been educators and they have been doing workshops and classes in the financial sector as well as in other sectors, and they're running their own university. So ma'am, if I start with your statement which you said, life without expectations and yet expect everything. To approach truth, language has to be paradoxical to a certain extent. Because if I look at the statement, it is paradoxical in that sense. Life without expectations, no expectations, yet expect everything.
Yeah.
So just can we start?
Yes, it has been very important to always live like that.
Yes.
Means without expectation, because if you have too many needs, I mean, you want that, you want to have that person, that job, but is it really part of your program?
Yes.
For example, I would like to be a therapist straight away because I have spiritual values, I would like to help the world, I would like to help people. Yes, it's great to be a therapist, to have this in your soul, to help others, but sometimes there are training before where when we are on the field in a job, we learn so much. There are training, and for example, when we are at work, and I used to work as a human resources director, and I could see the interaction between people and relationship, to learn to be well in our relationship. And we know very well a law that is, recognized by the scientific world. It's a law of resonance. We attract what we are and who we are.
Yes.
So when we are attracted towards something or someone that is positive, great. It means that we have also that in terms of memories. We have this potential. But
it's all science.
Yes,
it's all science.
It's all science.
Yes.
But sometimes we can be attracted towards something that is negative, and we don't know that it's negative. But what is most difficult for people is when we are bothered by something or someone, because we see a person, for example, in the world of work, that is too bossy, very authoritative, and we don't feel well with that person. And the first reaction is to reject that person, is that she is or is not right, and even if it's your boss and you can't say anything, but in your thoughts, in your emotions, in your energy, you reject the person, and it makes relationship worse. Whereas if we say, okay, yes, that person is not right, and I'm not like that, I couldn't be like that. But if I'm bothered, knowing now and applying the law of resonance, it means that I have a percentage, maybe a small percentage, that is still there and it's triggered. So, okay, instead of retaliating or repressing my anger, there are a lot of repression, among people. Builds up, yes. Yeah. I refer back to me, and I'm going to look after this part, this percentage, and recode it, and be more aware, conscious when I'm also a little bossy, maybe just in my energy, maybe just in my intention in some cases. So I get aware and I know myself. So it's an amazing, extraordinary field. When we work, sometimes people, they just want to escape and get away, because when we are on the path, when we want to become a better person, we're very sensitive, very, very sensitive. And it can be difficult sometimes. But instead of escaping, we say, okay, this is a lesson for me, I'm going to work on myself. And I have such a good personal example. Many, many years ago, I often attracted bosses that were too bossy. And
American Bank.
Yeah. And I was saying, I'm not like that, I'm kind, not bossy. And one day I received dreams, and I could see that there were parts in myself that were also sometimes bossy. And it was not in my dream. In our dreams, there are all parts of us. That kind of dream, I could see that was not my boss. That was me sometimes, and so I started to work on these parts.
On yourself.
Yes, on myself. Yeah. And month after, suddenly my boss called me in his office and told me, Christiane, I don't know what happened with you, but you have changed. I said, thank you. And so he no longer was bossy with me, but he continued to be bossy with the other employees. You see, so I could have the proof that if we change, things are changing. Sometimes the program change, either you change your jobs or the person that bothered you and you worked on it, you no longer need that, to face that resonance, so the person is transferred. I've seen so many cases, so it's so true for me, and it's a plus. It's a plus. Of course, we are not going to run after negativity. It faces us. Yes. But when it's there, okay, I'm going to make something of it. Yes. And in companies, when we understand that, it's so helpful. And when I was working in companies before, I was exchanges with the employees, with managers, and throughout time, there was such a beautiful ambience. And we teach that, we give courses, lectures on my EQ business to develop the emotional intelligence, yes. We teach to become good father and good mother. And sometimes for people it's a little bit weird or too intense, because they say, oh, if you're too kind, if you're like a mother or father, they are going, the hierarchy no longer works, and they are going to overlap and not respect yourself. But no, because a good father and a good mother can say a good yes and a good no, and and even sometimes when you know that the employee is no longer at the right place, and you talk with him or her and say, see, you have another program, you have something else to learn, and you have no pity, or you're not sad, because you know that for the person it's good to have another program. So you are right, you are fair, and you develop a lot of compassion and true love, but with rigor and the right authority.
Yeah, beautiful. And I'll come to you, Professor. But before that, just one quick question is that you had mentioned, I think, your aunt played a very important part in your spiritual compassion and in your journey towards understanding of humanity.
Yes, that's right. When I was 5 years old, my father asked me to go and accompany my great aunt, because 1 year before she had an accident and her leg was amputated. And then she had a mystical experience, and it changes. She was not spiritual before, and she had really an opening. And 1 year after, her husband didn't bear that, was so sad, didn't understand her, and he committed suicide. So I was there to help her, and she said to me, you are my sunshine. So that was the beginning of my destiny, to help people. And for me, I have such good memories about that. And then we returned 1 year after. She moved close to my parents, but that was my
in Geneva? That's in Geneva?
Yes, in Geneva, in Switzerland. At that time I was in Switzerland. So, and for me, it has been always such a joy to help people. Yes, that's my life.
Coming to you, you had a tremendous opportunity to have a musical career, and I think I have some details which I would like to share with people over here. You had a gold record at the age of 10 by the name of Francis Martin, and in 18 years, when you were 18 years in Quebec, you had 2 number 1 singles, and at the age of 24 you have the 5th album, and Sony Music Canada offered you a multi-million-dollar deal. to be in the same stage with Celine Dion and other performers. Then suddenly, when your daughter took birth, and that was the point you initiated understanding the spiritual, side of things, and then the material side of things slowly started taking a different curve. How that happened, and do you have any connections with the native Red Indian tribes in one way or the other in Canada, in Quebec? So
So
we'll come to the symbols then.
Yes.
It will be easier.
So yes, my ancestors are American Indian, and it is true that I went through a very profound journey when I was young, because the spiritual dimension in me has always been there since I remember. And I remember being often sitting on a bench bus, just looking at people, trying to understand them. 5 years old, just to understand the symbols, and talking to myself. I was deeply in the research of life and the understanding. So I had the life that everybody can dream of. It is true.
Yes.
I never had any problems. Very beautiful life. Great people with me. I was in the music business, and I had the same management team, Celine Dion, and they were very good. I was the next Celine Dion force only.
Yes.
So they were.
You were the big name in Canada at that point of time.
Yeah. So I had a very successful career. For many years, I was number one on the radio, but at the same time, it was like not enough. I felt inside an emptiness. I knew everything was okay, beautiful, everyone was very proud of me, but I was questioning life very deeply, and I had been involved also during the time of this musical career. For me, it was to help me. I was not, a money guy or anything like this. The spiritual dimension, the humanity in me was very powerful. And it was also a hidden world, a secret world. I was very shy. I developed at that time a personality where, I was more interiorized, and I was involved with many foundations at the time and for children, and helping them when they were on the threshold of death, terminal phases. So I was accompanying them, and I have learned so much from them. I mean, this is they were my spiritual masters, teaching me life, and I was feeling also deep comfort, and just to be in these true moments where life has a deeper meaning. And this is what I was really searching. And I remember one experience that has been the main trigger that that changed my life and made me decide to walk away from fame and glory. It was a young, she was 18 years old, a young girl. She had leukemia, and she had received dreams that she needed to see me before she died. So I took the first plane like I used to do. I went with my sewing manager, so I went to see her, and I had one of the most beautiful afternoons of my entire life. And she revealed things to me through her dreams of what was about to start for me. And things that I cannot say, but it was somehow sharing the change that
the transformation that
the
will take
transformation
place.
that was in process in me. And then 2 weeks after she passed away, and she came to visit me in a dream.
Mm-hmm.
And in this dream, I always remember this dream. We were sitting at a table, and it was real, because as we talked, there was no difference between the reality. Dreams can be very advanced in time. The consciousness can really be just transposed into another dimension. And so she said to me the universe was very proud of me, and that I was about to begin a very important journey to help humanity. And it was time. And I knew this
She was also a light worker in that sense. And then she passed on that.
Definitely, because when you are spiritual and when you feel a mission, often it's difficult to validate this mission because it can be very abstract.
Yes.
It's a feeling, it's a sensation. People don't have enough knowledge about symbolic language, and that's why I dedicate my life now to teach around the world symbolic language, psychiatrists, psychologists, therapists, doctors everywhere. Because I think this is the future.
This is the
for self-development. So we can have access to our technology.
Yes. The inner technology, which
this
we have, technology of consciousness.
That's correct. Because for me, the consciousness and the unconsciousness is now a living computer.
Yes.
Where we record positive and negative memories through all our experiences, and creates different personalities.
Yes.
From one person to another, in accordance with the memories and the accumulations also of situations, the way we've been raised, and everything has an influence on our character and on our development. So she said they had a gift for me, so she brought me in that dream to a room. Everything was like very, very, very profound. Everything was like black, like being in the universe. And there was a table, and in the middle of the table there was a square. It was like a mirror, and I was able to see the tunnel of light that we see when we die.
Mm-hmm.
And it was
Clear light of the void, they say in Tibet. Clear light of the void,
colors, crystal blues and colors and multi-dimensions going through a tunnel of light. It was extraordinary, something that cannot be described because it's so pure, so beautiful. And she said to me, normally you have to die to see this. You have to do an MBA. This is very powerful.
An MBA?
Yes, your consciousness will shift after this. And without having to die, this will completely transform your consciousness. Because the light was so powerful, I was really like completely enlightened by these forces, and then I woke up, and I have never been the same since that time. And after that dream, I started to receive 10 to 50 dreams every night, and nightmares, at a level that you can go crazy. And I thought, that
this was in which year?
this was, we go back now in 1995.
Okay.
Yes, it was
Then
1994.
the musical career is going in tandem, or?
After that moment, 2 weeks after, I was in the office of Vito Luprano, which was the director of Sony Music,
Yes.
and the person in charge of Celine's career and myself.
Yes.
And I said to him, I have to go. So he said, that's okay, take a year, take a sabbatical.
So let's come back.
Because he knows that I've been always, I'm a hard worker. I've never been complicated artist, no drug, no alcohol, nothing. It's like, for me, music was a mission. It was really a mission to help people. And so I was always writing in studios. And so he said, just take a sabbatical, it's okay, travel, everything is okay. We signed the contract, we have multi-million dollars in the bank account, everything is okay. I said, I can't sign. I said, what's happening? just take time. Don't say that like this. You know, I said, no, I'm sorry, Vito. I have to go and walk away. And thank you for everything. He was devastated, and he thought it was just like, okay, he's going through something. But I was dreaming like it was so intense. Everything was changing, and it's like the dreams were becoming my new musical charts. It was like kind of, and symbols. I was really in needs of learning about what was happening. And even if I was receiving a lot of nightmares, I was not in pity, or I was not seeing this as bad. I was seeing this as changing, transforming, and learning about myself, about the universe, about how, and this was the quest I started that now created all the research that we have done with our foundations and non-profit organization, where now with the dictionary, encyclopedia, the source code, that is now 2,000 pages, and now we'll turn very soon, we are about to announce very advanced AI technologies that will use symbolic language for advanced robotics and AI. So I believe symbolic language is, humanity needs to understand that. It is the key to understand mental health issues. If you know dream intelligence in symbolic language, you can go to your code, you can redesign yourself and reprogram.
That's what you said, recoding.
Yes,
That's the system.
Yeah.
And that's how you can reboot it and recode it. It's the coding language, symbols are coded language, hermeneutics,
yes,
the study of science.
Exactly. And in HTML system, we understand that the basic of computer programming is 0, 1.
0 and 1.
Yeah,
so he understands too.
Yeah, but at the origin of this, we can relate this to the way we function. I'm open and I'm closed.
Yes.
I want this, I don't want, yes, no, I love, I don't love. You know, this is fundamental choices that we do.
Dualistic language.
Yeah. And we are coded right from the beginning with these two aspects, where we decide, like Mama is saying, come my love, to the table, and then he doesn't know what is a table as a baby. There's no ideas. So we understand, just come, the open code. And when she says no, then restriction, limitation, close. So this is the fundamental way of learning, and we need to understand this, because after the child will know what is the table, but like we do with robotics, we need to upload 10,000 different tables, then it's going to do deep learning on internet. So same thing for us. The baby will have repetition of the word table, come, no, not, be careful, don't put your hands on the table. And eventually he gets it, what is a table? And we have a symbol linked with memories.
Do we have time? Okay. So just quickly coming back to your two books, and then we can have a discussion. The Book of Angels, Dreams and Science and Meditation.
Yes.
And the Book of Angels, the Divine Couple. I mean, we have the Divine Couple in here. So, I mean, when you talk about processing symbols and because symbolic language is such, without even using the linguistics, the language, suppose I'm speaking in Sanskrit, you're speaking in German and French, there is a way which the Aborigines used, a way of connecting by using the symbols, pictorial diagrams, right? And having a synergy with the universe, an exchange, a kind of a double quantum loop. Going back to the whole structure, there's an individual and then there is the whole. So there is a constant communication between the individual and the whole, and both influencing and impacting each other, right?
This is very interesting what you mentioned, because when we connect with the archetype and symbolism of what is an angel,
Yes.
An angel is a human with wings.
Yes.
So this is a very ancient metaphor to
Yes.
express a human that becomes spiritual. So this is the basic of the symbolic meaning of what angel is all about. And this is a very, very ancient teachings related to dreams. That's why we use this symbol. The Book of Angel is a book related on symbolic language. And the understanding of the spiritual experience that we do that transform ourselves very deeply when we start to receive dreams, and we start also to begin to understand that symbols are at the origin of the universe. That the entire universe is structured with symbols. Every objects that are around us represent states of consciousness. Like in dreams, when we dreamed, we see symbols, but we have symbols the way we decorate our apartment, the way we dress, the color of our car. Everything we do is manifestations from within to outside, where we have memories, thoughts, emotions that creates different types of behaviors in regards of the memories that we have accumulated over time. So that's why these books are fascinating, because they explain the dynamics also of the understanding of how we can trigger dreams to develop our spiritual autonomy. So
And you can have an autonomy over dreams as well, in one sense.
Yes, because mantra practice are really essential to understand, and in all traditions, for thousands of years, sages have always expressed the importance of mantras, because mantras creates concentration, and concentration creates more energy. More energy develop more the brains, and also all the antennas and capacity, and our capacity to
Neuroplasticity.
That is exactly what is happening. So when often people think that when we are spiritual, that we can be airy or we can be not really connected to matter. But when we understand symbolic language, we have another level of understanding spirituality, where we understand that everything is energy, and this energy is manifested through symbols that are there. And these symbols will interconnect with the qualities and that we develop. And through dream intelligence and the studying of advanced symbols, we can understand that a symbol is a state of consciousness. It's not an object.
Yes.
It is why we use the symbol that brings its deep meaning.
Yeah.
So, and at the origin of the universe, like we find the fundamental elements in science, and like there's about 118
The periodic
elements.
table.
That's correct. So we can understand that the same thing exists in terms of understanding the fundamental qualities that we need to develop, that are the essence of the entire universe.
Essence.
Yes.
Is the key word.
And when we talk about dark matter, that the big percentage of
Dark energy and dark matter.
that's correct. Science are still questioning what is this, but what we need to understand that deeper than that, there is the notions of the consciousness. That matter is just an expression
Of consciousness.
of our consciousness that is manifested. So, like us, we have many things in us, many possibilities, and then we manifest through objects. We go to the store, we do this, we have needs and that and this and that, and we are building our universe.
Lego pieces.
Yes, that represents deeply who we are.
Yes. So quickly, man, will you just